How y'all doing? Nick Brengle here, and we're back again with another free-for-all color grading session. I like to do these, a couple times a year. I'm always getting emails or comments about how I color grade, and I think it's something that's always evolving, and it should be. Aside from creating your own style, you should also be kind of, building upon that foundation, whatever color you like, whatever density with film grain or whatever it is when you start to color grade your footage. There's always something new to learn, and there's always something you could do slightly different, and the outcome is always different. It's just different. It's differently different. So, and now let's get to today's sponsor. Audio is an innovative and user-friendly music library that has quickly become a go-to resource for content creators, filmmakers, and media professionals. Offering an extensive collection of high-quality, royalty-free music tracks, Audio simplifies the process of finding the perfect soundtrack for various projects. With a diverse range of genres, moods, and styles, the platform ensures there is something for every creative endeavor. Audio stands out for its straightforward licensing model, granting users the freedom to use the music without worrying about copyright issues. With its exceptional ease of use and exceptional music selection, Audio has become an indispensable tool for professionals seeking to elevate the impact of their visual content through captivating and fitting musical accompaniments. I want to thank Audio for sponsoring this video. Go check them out. Link down below. I believe you get a percentage off. I get a taste of that as well, and it's pretty awesome. It's great for any kind of, if you're just starting off as a freelancer, it's a perfect library source to have because it's less expensive and you can use it for anything. So Audio with two eyes. So I have 4 different original pocket cinema camera clips here, and I've talked about these before. This was from a promo shoot that I did years ago for like a bikini company and a hat company, and it was like a one-day shoot. It was 1,000,000 degrees outside, and everything was shot with a shoulder rig or handheld with the pocket, and I think I only used the Panasonic 12 to 18 millimeter, and of course on the micro 4/3 that equated to a deeper focal length than 12 to 18. But that was it. That was the setup. I shot everything in Cinema DNG RAW, and then I converted it to ProRes 422 HQ, and that's what these clips are. As you can see, they're Apple ProRes 422 HQ, and that's what I've kept over the years is some of the clips from this shoot, but not the original Cinema DNG clips, which is unfortunate. That'd be fun to play with those now and kind of compare it to the Blackmagic RAW. So anyway, these are the clips, and I've already color graded them before multiple times over and over again, so you'll see a few variations in this video, but I also have over here all of them ready to go, nothing touched at all, just the raw image, and that's what we're gonna touch on now. So let's go with this clip first. Again, just a lot of sun, ocean, well, not the ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, and no diffusion, nothing. I'm not even sure. I probably used an ND, and it was probably really not a good ND filter. It was probably crappy. But there's just something about the original pocket that I think it's coming back around now, that 16 millimeter look. Again, getting into Dehancer and creating that film emulation, it's kind of a no-brainer. There's something about that camera, the sensor, the color science that was just way ahead of its time for its price and its form factor, and I don't think any camera since then, whether Blackmagic or any other brand, has achieved what that original pocket did in such a small package, and it really just has its own look and feel, and people now are trying to find these cameras on eBay or Craigslist, Nextdoor, wherever, on Facebook Marketplace, and trying to pick these up and use them again. It's similar to kind of the, the analog, the high 8, the digital 8, and the old like HD camcorders. They kind of go through waves, and people want them, and they get kind of, I don't like to use the word trendy, but they get a little trendy, and it also is just nostalgia, and it's fun to experiment with old types of cameras, old media, and see how you can push it and make it your own. So yeah, this video is going to end up being way longer than I probably wanted it to, but that's okay. We're recording in 3-to-1 ratio right now, full 6K, for no reason, but why not? Because we have the capabilities here. So okay, so let's jump into this clip. So I've talked about this a lot before. I mean, I'm not really like a crazy node guy. I'm not creating these crazy node trees. I don't consider myself a colorist. I'm just not. I don't consider myself that. If I were to work on projects that were, really, really, really high budget and needed very, the right people to do the right jobs, then real colorists know what to do. They're creating things from scratch on a canvas. And I think, we're halfway there. We're halfway there. A lot of the tools and a lot of things I use, I've just taught myself and watched YouTube videos and kind of found my groove and rhythm of how I like to work with the footage that I'm shooting. So yeah, anyway, so because this is the original Pocket, we're going to add a couple of nodes here, and we're going to start with this second node, and we're not going to go there. We are going to try to add the Phantom LUTs by Joel Familaro, and we're going to go ahead and use the legacy one, which is kind of like, I think it's like the original version or the older version, so it holds up with like the Gen 4 color, I believe. I could be wrong. Joel could tell me the correct answer on that. So when we add that, we immediately see it's just overpowering the footage, like, to no end. I mean, you can see, can I make this actually smaller? Is that possible? Okay, so actually we can see down source resolution 1920, 10-bit. There's ProRes, and so they're, 24 frames a second, 23.976. And let's go back to here. So we add that, we could see it's really kind of, it's peaking this image, all where this hat is just completely blown out. So we don't want that. Why would we want that? So we're not going to use the Phantom LUT on here, and I'm going to show you Dehancer. So we're going to pop Dehancer on, and well, now we need to turn off a couple of things that are always on, and let's go and use their built-in Rec 709 and choose a camera. So we'll go to Blackmagic Design. Obviously, the original Pocket's not in here. We're going to pick the 4K, and as you can see, just applying that on, it's much more subtle than the Phantom LUT, because the Phantom LUT's trying to do something different, and it's also very specific to the science of the Pocket 6K or the Pocket 4K, and not the original Pocket. So it's a different science. Dehancer is doing something, I think, a lot simpler. And so we put that on, and as you can see, it did add some color, but it didn't do, obviously, enough of what we wanted. So then we're going to get into Dehancer and play around from here, and we'll see what happens. So, the temperature, I think it's fine. It was warm, and we want it to look a little bit warm. And we're going to skip down to film here, and this is where, you can have fun and decide, what you want it to look like. You can pick from, obviously, just like 60 something different film stocks. And let's see, let's go with, Fuji Eterna. I really like egg color. Vision. Okay, so we're gonna go with Vision 3, 250 daylight balanced, and as you can see, we kind of work this slider over. We're gonna push it a little bit, and yeah, I think that's about right. So again, we're not done with this by any means. We'll get into film compression. Now when we turn that on, I want you to the film compression thing is unbelievable to me because again, this footage is 10 plus years old. It's a ProRes file. It's 10-bit. You should not be able to do things like this, in my opinion, but it's magic. So film compression is really helping to work with any of those highlights, the roll off, getting back the details in that. And as you can see right now, if you look at the top of this hat, okay, now again, it's not blown out according to our scopes here. It's just it's up there. It's a little over 90. I don't want it there, but it's acceptable. You could go for it if you wanted to. As soon as we enable film compression, watch this hat. Okay, now the whole image doesn't do it. Okay, the whole image is not really being affected. It's just kind of this little wave right here over the hat, and you can see it on the histogram or the scopes a little bit. And we enable that, and then we come up to the white point and see if I draw back, you could see where it's affecting it the most, right? So I'm gonna do it somewhere in the middle in here, I think, because it goes to what, 120. So a little over that. Let's just say 80, and then the impact. Okay, impact somewhere in there. Tonal range. Now see, the tonal range starts to affect the entire image, as you can see. Starts to bring back down those highlights, okay? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring them down right about there. And then color density, we're going to jack it up because we're going to do that as we get down here. So we're going to leave that for now. You look at our scopes. We look pretty good so far. Now we're going to expand our black and white point. So we'll bring our blacks down a little bit just so the tiniest fragments are almost hitting 0. And the same with the whites. We're going to bring it up again. But see, we're not losing that hat. We're raising the whites, but see, we're not losing anything. So now we're going to get to probably my favorite tool, which is the print tool. And we're going to immediately go to tonal contrast. And this is where tonal contrast and color density is, again, doing something that I don't think any other type of film emulation is doing for, number one, the cost, and number two, how simple it is to kind of use and understand. And I mean, it's a slider. That's all it is. So tonal contrast, as you'll see, I'll start pulling it to the right. And again, it's going to pull our image up and down. The highs, the whites and the blacks going to stretch our image. And as I do that, it's going to create a little bit of texture, a little more grit. And we'll go to about 8, let's say. Okay, and then our color density, we're going to really jack it up. Maybe not really. Let's go to 40. Let's go to 40. Okay, and now you can kind of see like the blues are hitting the hat. I mean, this is where you might see some of the limitations from an original pocket in ProRes. If it's not a raw file, you could run into some color, some temperature issues or skin tones. And again, you can fix all this stuff in here, but if you're kind of working quickly, then you might not, have time to sit with it. So then we're going to get down to our color head, and we're going to start that, and we're going to mess with the shadows, the midtones, and the highlights. And as we pull these around, as you can see, if I just go way left, how blue that water gets, right? So we want it to be a little blue, and we want to make sure the midtones are not too far off. But we are going for kind of an old school look. We're not going for some documentary reality TV show. So something like that. And then we're going to pull the blue. No. Do we need more green? What is it? Magenta. A little red. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Again, this is what I'm doing. You're here with me. This is how I usually am color grading, especially for YouTube and especially for any type of, projects that I'm working on that don't require a specific color and workflow. This is how I'm doing it. I'm experimenting as I go along, and I'm, kind of just making decisions on the fly and accepting whatever, is the outcome in the end. Because once you render this stuff out, I let it fly, So now we're going to get down to the film grain. And if we turn this on, 35 millimeter, you can immediately see how much grain is put into this image, and it looks really cool. But we can make it 16 millimeter, which technically is what this sensor is, and it is emulating a 16 millimeter film. So we'll go to 16 mil, and at ISO 50, we'll just test. We'll have you see all the different ones. There's 250 and 500. Obviously, it's a lot of grain. So we'll come down to the lesser end, 16 millimeter ISO 50, which is just awesome. I mean, it really it does wonders. Halation, the other really cool one. Again, each one of these, I get goosebumps because of how awesome they are. So you get these, you can obviously customize these and do your own thing, but they have all these presets. So again, 16 millimeter, Super 16. We click that. Oh, it's not on. Let's enable it. And immediately you can see, I mean, the first thing I noticed was kind of around the rim of the hat. If I hit that again, yep, you'll see that. Now let's try no remjet, and it's much more pronounced, the halation. And we're gonna leave that on. Bloom, same thing, 16 millimeter. Film damage, 16 millimeter. Okay, we're just gonna apply everything for you so you can kind of just see. Although, you know what I'm not a fan of? We're gonna change this. I am not a fan of the scratches. I'm not a big fan. I like the dust. Maybe it's the hairs that I'm thinking of. Yeah, let's just keep the dust because I do like the film dust. And film breathe, sure, why not? Let's add it. Gate weave, sure, let's add it. Okay. And there's your final image. So, right now you're seeing the before and after, which I guess we could do it right here. I mean, there it is. On one single node, you can click on and off and see the difference of what we've done. So let's see, how much time have we spent on this? 20 minutes or so. So if you're still with me, hallelujah. I think we've been going for quite some time. And let's walk through one of the Blackmagic Pocket 6K clips. This was one of my favorite setups recently that was super simple, that I had my wife sit in on. So let's find a good freeze frame so she doesn't hate me. So again, simple setup. If you watched a video previously, and I'm actually using it now, I have this like quadruple diffusion going on with my UL 150, the Godox. And that's what I was using on her. So the light and the diffusion is about 3 feet. It's right here out of frame. It's about 3 feet. And behind it, of course, we have the honeycomb grid, then diffusion, and then another layer within there. So it's a bunch of diffusion. The light is at 100% right now. And also it's silent because it's the UL 150. So you don't have to hear it at all, which is awesome. But anyway, so I had that just out of frame on her and no other light. I mean, obviously you can see I set a tube light back there, but no other lights were used. And yeah, this is what we got. I just thought it was a beautiful image. So again, we're gonna do the same exact thing, except this time we are gonna work off the base of the Phantom LUT. And so we're gonna go to the Phantom LUTs, we're gonna do the neutral, and you can see right away, it definitely darkens the image a lot. Right off the bat, it immediately just does a perfect, this is almost like a C, like a moon, like a quarter moon or whatever, I don't know, quarter moon, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And so we're going to work off that. We're going to go back to our first node. I'm not naming any of these nodes or anything. I mean, you follow along, how you want. The color temperature is 56, but I am going to bring the tint up to about a 10. I have found with the Phantom LUTs, and depending on the lighting scenario and in this room specifically, as you could see, behind me, and even in this shot, we have a bunch of trees right outside the window, and so any light that's coming in is green. So the black magic is already subject to a green tint a little bit depending on the scenario. So in here, it's just much more likely that it's going to affect it even more. So I tend to, adjust the tint, and but again, do that kind of at your own how you want it to be, because you don't always have to do that. But this clip we will, and it's pretty easy to see, because look, if I, oh, it didn't do it. Okay, if we turn off the tint, look at this clip. You can see all back here. So just watch like her cheek. I'm gonna make it a 10. Boom. Her cheek looks like her cheek now. It doesn't have that green hue on it or anything like that. So we're going to go with this. We have the phantom LUT, and now we're going to add Dehancer, and we're going to work through that. So same thing. They always have the film enabled, and they always have the film grain enabled. So we'll turn that off. And we don't have to do anything with the camera because we already decided we're using the neutral phantom LUT as our base. And we're just going to go in from there. So I'm not going to use any film stocks on this one. We're going to start with film compression. And as soon as we hit that, again, pay attention to right up here on her forehead, off, on, okay? And if you pull this white back, you can see what it's doing. So we'll get that about halfway. It doesn't need to be crazy. And somewhere in there, and then tonal range, you can see it, that starts to affect more of the image. So probably about there. Color density, we'll bring it up. Okay, now we're going to go down again to our expand. Same scenario. Enable, darken, bring this up a little bit. Okay, down to our print. Tonal contrast. Again, this is personal preference of how far you want to go. Let's really push this one. So it's just really black and dark on this side. I don't think I had any negative fill. You know what? Now I take that back. I think I did have negative fill on this side, kind of at an angle. So that obviously helped quite a bit. For sure, it helped a lot. Tonal contrast, color density. Here's, let's look at color density here. Okay, so let's look at her face here. And right now we're just at 0. Now if I pull it all the way back, it's pretty obvious we've pulled the life kind of out of the image a little bit. You can see, her face looks a lot more pale. Even the green in the background kind of looks dull. And as we bring up the color density back to where it started, around 0, looks great. But as you start to push it and push it and push it more, you get this rich color, okay? And I think it can be scary to go with that, but once you add the film grain and any halation, and if maybe you're doing a 4:3 aspect ratio, I'm telling you, it gives it pops. It has that 3D look. It feels real. And I find it to be more engaging than just kind of like a dull, color graded film video. So that's print. I could talk about print all day. We're not going to mess with any kind of shadows or midtones or anything like that. I have been using the 65 millimeter ISO 50 for film grain, and that's been nice because it's super subtle, even at 500. It's pretty fine. So we'll keep it at ISO 50. Halation, we're not going to use in this. Bloom, we will. And as you can see, it barely brings out just a hair. Again, giving it a little more of a gritty feel. But also, to me, it's a clean, gritty feel. It's like two words that don't really go together, like a clean, dirty look. But that's what it is. We don't need to do any film breathe or anything like that. We could do some vignetting if we wanted to around her. Let's see. Yeah, let's do that. That's cool. It's what is the aspect ratio though? Yeah, there we go. So we'll feather that, and then we'll pull it back. So yeah, that's that clip. Again, no, it's just the phantom neutral LUT, and then using Dehancer to enhance an already clean, beautiful image. I mean, you could just have the phantom LUT. Although now that you look at it just with the phantom LUT, it is hard to not want to apply Dehancer. You go, yeah, it's a no-brainer. So yeah, let's see here. Okay, so we're gonna do one last rapid fire edit with an original pocket cinema camera clip, and we're just gonna rapid fire, and I'm just gonna work through it pretty quickly, and I'll kind of talk through it, but I'm just gonna work through it and just show you what you can do just by, again, playing around, rapid fire, just showing you that anything is possible. All right. We're gonna go in, we gotta choose the camera, Blackmagic, 4K, but it's not a 4K camera. We know that. We're gonna turn that off, we're gonna turn that off. Where's the grain at? Let's turn that off for now. And I think, let's go with the Kodak Ektar 100, and let's see if we wanna push it or pull it here. And I think we're gonna pull it in a little bit. Okay, and we're gonna go film compression. This one doesn't need it a whole lot, just a little bit. And actually, I'm just gonna apply it and leave it kind of like it is for the most part. Okay, expand. Check my blacks here. Okay, here's a fun one. So for this one, we'll go ahead and put on the Kodak 2383 print. And as you can see, it does not look good off the bat. Okay, so we're gonna dial it down and bump up the tonal contrast, bump up the color density, about there. Okay, and now we're gonna come into our color head. And this is kind of an important piece, because we wanna bring life back to these people. Okay, I don't really want them to be orange, but we might have to do that. Let's see, film. Okay, no, let's not do that. Let's go back up to contrast boost. Okay, gamma separation, color boost. All right, give it a little color boost, and then let's make this a little more blue. Okay, tonal contrast, let's bring this down a bit, bring it up, I guess, a bit. Okay, we got that. Let's go ahead and throw on our 16mm film grain. Ooh, we can really get carried away, huh? Like 500. I don't think we're gonna do that. It's kind of weird. All right, halation, 16mm. Okay, bloom, 16mm. We're not gonna do film damage. Not gonna put that on. Okay, and then the other thing we're gonna do is go back, add mid detail. Okay, so it'll sharpen it up underneath Dehancer a little bit, and that's it. We're done. That's the clip. There you go. That's what you get. Okay, well, what more could I possibly say? If you are here at the end of this video, please hit the like button, drop a comment down below. Let me know that you finished this marathon with me, and hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. I think I checked recently, and like 95% of my viewers are not subscribed. And I find that a little bit bizarre, only because it's free. You have a Google account, you have a YouTube account, it's free, and you just click the button, and if you want to come back and watch more content, it's right there in your feed. If I post on the community tab, anything like that, it's there. So please hit the subscribe button, go watch some of my other content, until the next time, go create something, and let me know about your color grading. If this was helpful, or if this was like just a comedy hour, I don't know. But yeah, so yeah.